Welcome back to the Financial Abundance channel. In today's video, we're going to be going over Bitcoin and then, of course, some altcoins action as well, as it might just be Ethereum's time to shine, which does likely mean that Ethereum strong altcoins probably going to be doing decent as well. So we'll be going over that and some major areas of interest for, of course, Ethereum. And without further ado, we should first, of course, get into the mood for such activities.
You are now attracting infinite amounts of wealth, effortlessly and easily. This wealth flows to you and stays with you always.
Holy shit! That's amazing! I feel like I just discovered the Da Vinci Code. I figured it out, and now the abundance of wealth flows to me, and I hope it also flows to you as well, sirs and zers out there in the world. We could always use some more of that. Anyways, first things first, Ethereum brought in over here. Let me actually get rid of the bands in the background. I just want to look at the naked plain chart. And there is a really compelling case for the monthly as of right now with eight and a half days left to go. We have seen Ethereum not necessarily put in a bullish engulfing dildo here, but it has so far, at least engulfed the high. Of course, in order to be considered a bullish engulfing or any sort of engulfing, we'd have to see the current month trade below the low of the prior. In this case, it did not actually do that. It came about $30 short. But still a very strong close, if anywhere above last month's high, which is 37.33. If we see anything like that, I would be expecting Ethereum to very likely retest prior all-time highs, somewhere around $4,700 to $4,800 within the next month or two. And then, of course, from there, extrapolated targets. And this would be much further down the road, maybe end of summer, end of year, something like that. You're probably looking in the 6,000 to 8,000 range, which I don't want to say my real thoughts on that, where I think the top will be, but I think it'll be there. I think it'll be there. I don't think it's going to be as high as a lot of people are hoping and wishing for. But in this case, a very strong month nonetheless. The only way that I'd revise this coming into June is if we did see Ethereum come back down and close below 3,600. At that point, it's a wash. It's no call from me. But for right now, Ethereum has both the price and, of course, a narrative in the background, as Ethereum ETFs seem to be once again on the table. You live by the ETF and you die by the ETF. But of course, that makes us interested and compelling to be looking at Bitcoin dominance over here. And Bitcoin dominance, again, not a perfect metric. Of course, I do think, as always, it's best to be looking at whatever your favorite shitcoin is, or altcoin, as we like to call them, versus Bitcoin to kind of judge whether it's good or not, how strong it is. But this is kind of a generalized look into things. And Bitcoin dominance is putting in that top that we've been speaking about for now 3 months, just below about 57.5%. We were looking at this area of, quite far in advance. I'm not saying this again to toot my own horn, but to follow up on this information that we've been looking at really for like the last year now, as there hasn't really been a humongous change since really last October to where, Bitcoin dominance is at currently. But while this has been going on, we have seen a few altcoins rally, the strong ones, of course, which I imagine are probably going to get even stronger here. But the real question is now, are we going to see the junk in the garbage rally alongside this too? I think that remains to be seen, but this would be the setup. If there's going to be any sort of situation where that does happen, this would be it. Still, I would caution, however, it's really, in my opinion, a few handful of alts, the strong ones, that are going to be making the majority of these gains, and the old alts, the shitty ones, the not so interesting ones, they're going to be, probably rallying a bit, but unlikely to be, the astronomical rallies that I think a lot of people are looking for. Probably not even reclaiming prior all-time highs. In fact, if your altcoin has not already made new all-time highs, it's a bad sign. It's a bad sign. It's a really bad sign, in fact, or at least retested somewhere decently close to it, if it was around for the past couple cycles. Anyways, in this case, the monthly here, not only is it topping out between the 618 and the 50% level, but we are seeing hidden bearish divergences we've been looking at and preparing for since basically October of last year, starting to actually play out here. On top of that, we are going to see the VMP start to turn down after extreme highs. So I would be looking at that as yet another thing that does suggest long term. We do see this one come down quite severely, but this still probably takes at least a couple months before we see like the next major move to the downside here. If we go to the weekly, we also do have many drives. In fact, another one brewing here of bearish divergence. So I'd say just another, confirming factor that on the back end, this one very likely coming down significantly. The next sort of major area to be aware of course, to the downside for this particular chart is going to be around 51.25% region. On top of that, I should also be aware that the monthly stochastic oscillator is crossing to the downside and is putting in actually some bearish divergence of its own, assuming that this month, which again closes in about 8.5 days, closes anywhere below 55 and 18% basically, which right now it's a healthy amount below. But 8 days is a long time left to go. Of course, if it were to reclaim that number, can't be extremely bearish. But for right now, it does look like things are really starting to turn in the background. So I do want to flash the warning, the signal, the reversal, that is occurring right here. Anyways, looking at Ethereum versus Bitcoin, again, I do think that this is a general good gauge of altcoin strength, just like everything. Probably better than Bitcoin dominance, actually. We are starting to see Ethereum Bitcoin, again, dip into this 382 level right here, as it has done a few times in the past 6 months. But it does look like this will indeed be the opportunity, as we do see a pretty massive bullish engulfing dildo right here, certainly trading below the low of April, and as of right now, well above the high of April as well. So any sort of closure above 5.3 million Satoshis, that'll be confirmed. And you'll also, no, you won't have hidden bullish divergence, but you will start to see the VMP turn up simultaneously. So at least a rally. Keep in mind that this one does still have lower highs, and well, long term actually doesn't look super hot, but it could very easily rally up all the way to 7 million Satoshis, for example, which is a significant move. Percentage wise from current stature, that's nearly a 30% move. So yeah, that would be very, very significant. But very, very long term, I have my reservations about this chart, but certainly, in the more near term, I would be looking for a continuation of this rally. On top of that, Ethereum Bitcoin over here, the monthly stochastic oscillator is crossing the upside above the critical zone for the first time since, let me actually mark it off right on over here, because this was back in May of 2020, and just by that date alone, I already know what we're probably gonna be looking at. It's the green vertical bar right here, and yes, indeed, that was a pretty significant turning point, you might say. So ultimately, it does look to me like Ethereum is probably going to lead the market in general for a while here. I imagine these strong Ethereum altcoins are going to be the ones to be looking at, like my favorite Balkan Derpy Dwarf over here, which actually is up 43% on the day. That fucking dwarf can't be stopped, man. What started out as a complete joke, this thing, I mean, I wish I actually bought a lot of this thing because it's got the memes and it keeps on going up. But that's enough shilling of something that I have no real interest in, although the music is really, really good. I do have to say that, you got to give credit where credit is due, of course, and fair enough. The good ones are being rewarded. The good memes are being rewarded. Anyways, going back on over here and kind of finishing this one off with Bitcoin. Again, monthly for Bitcoin. Anything here or higher does look good, basically. Anything above $69,000. Of course, if Bitcoin did close above last month's high, which is 72,750, it would have that same sort of bullish engulfing that we were kind of talking about earlier. As well as the test of the median right here, and a very obvious, bounce from that, which does imply that long-term this trend likely does continue. I mean, not realistically, but what is actually occurring here is that we're really getting like the first sort of sustained rally above the median, this sort of white line that my cursor is currently tracing here for the first time, I mean, since the last major macro rally. Which was all the way back on over here in November of 2020 starting, and that lasted, for about a year. And things actually traded all the way up toward the 61.8 level, which is about $147,000 as of right now. I would still say that as long as Bitcoin is above the median here, long term, very, 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 very likely we see something around here. I would say minimum $93,500. Maximum would be $114,000. Anywhere within there would be extremely, extremely likely as like a minimum area of interest, I would say. And if things get really, really crazy, wherever the 61.8 level is upon approaching it. But for right now, you know, Bitcoin Bula is doing what they need to do into the end of the month here. It does look like on the shorter terms, relative to that, the daily time frame, you know, a little bit of a short-term consolidation. I would exercise a bit of caution if you do see Bitcoin close below 69,000 bucks, or technically speaking, 68,900. At that point, I would be expecting a deeper retracement first before anything else, at least down to 66 and possibly all the way back down to possibly undoing this whole current rally, you know, back down to like 63,000 or 64,000. But that would be my sort of line in the sand that we could see, you know, as soon as tonight's closure, actually. So do be aware of that. But, you know, Bitcoin coming down here and ranging likely does benefit the altcoins is kind of the overall picture that I'm starting to now present. So we're 10 minutes into this video now. We've gotten our financial abundances. We can listen to one more second of this.
You are a money magnet.
Ho, 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 ho! Money magnet? I accept! This is fucking good news for me, man. Just looking at those eyes, like amazing, beautiful, and whatever rock that is, that's it's very effective apparently. So all good. Anyways, yeah, that's going to do it for me today. Again, be aware of Bitcoin short term below 69,000 bucks on a daily closing base. If you do see that, probably in for a deep retracement overall. Until then, sideways benefits, you know, most things. And Bitcoin consolidating around these highs, you know, it's not necessarily a bad thing coming into the end of this month, but it does take time. Again, most of our price models and price projections here that we've been looking at over the past couple weeks, you know, are really aimed towards middle to end of June. So, you know, it can take some time. All right, cool. Anyways, that's going to do it for me as of right now. I'm going to go back to my financial abundances and continue to manifest all sorts of destinies for myself and perhaps you as well. So without saying anything else, I want to wish you the best. Take care, much love, and keep accepting.